will say that our business is stronger than it has ever been.
The success of growth and where I see companies growing consistently really is your people.
I mean, the story is not, does it make power? Because they all make power. The story is, what does it power?
This is What Solar Installers Need to Know with your host, Hervé Billier and Joe Marhamati.
Hi there, it's Hervé and Joe with What Solar Installers Need to Know, where we interview solar CEOs and experts on how they run their business on the solar coaster. We ask their private revenue numbers, we give actionable advice, and learn about trade secrets so you can run and grow your solar business. Joe and I built a solar company from 0 to 12 million in sales and got successfully acquired. If you'd like to do the same or do better, go to sungrow.com/blog to get actionable behind-the-scenes lessons on running and growing your solar business. And now, without further ado, let's jump right into the next episode.
Welcome, Neil, to the podcast about what solar installers need to know.
Hi, Herb. Thanks for having me.
And you will hear about the accents. I'm originally from Belgium, and you from the UK, right?
Yes, yeah, down in the south.
Where exactly are you located?
We're located at a place called Burgess Hill in West Sussex. So for people who don't know, it's sort of about an hour south of London.
All right. And you're part of the HSEnergy, which stands for Home Services, Home Smart Energy, And you have a revenue of 32 million. You operate all across the UK, national player, and you also are recently in Romania. You have about 100 employees, just shy of 100 employees, and you install 450 systems a month. You were mainly residential with some commercial, and that is shifting by now 50-50 and going to more like 80% commercial and 20% residential. We'll talk about the dynamics there. You have about 12 crews, and you both have your internal crews and subcontractors, external crews. So all of that information, give us a little information about like the change in name of you were called Home Smart Energy. I just switched to HSEnergy, and what's happening there?
Well, we've been trading 10 years, and since we started, we've grown. We've had rapid growth since COVID, and with energy prices in the UK shooting up, we were in the right position and established at the time. But it was important to sort of rebrand after 10 years, and recognise the fact that actually we were doing a lot more commercial work and we weren't just residential. So we actually split the company into several entities. We've got HS Residential, HS Commercial, HS Educational, and a wholesale arm called Smart for Solar, where we'd develop direct links and not using wholesalers. We also were helping smaller installers sort of get started.
By wholesale, you mean being a distributor? You buy the hardware?
Yeah, we're a little bit unique in that we managed to get direct relationships with panel manufacturers, inverter and batteries, and mountings is a key one. I mean, I don't know about America, but in the UK, the wholesalers do make a lot of money out of mountings, and installers don't really think about that element when they're buying so much. They think about the three key components, and then find out that they happily pay, say, 60 pence on a screw, which might be a lot less direct.
Oh, interesting. So is the strategy there to, since you do 450 installs a month, you buy directly from manufacturers, you put all that in your warehouse, so now you buy maybe a little bit more at the same price, but then you resell that to the local installers?
Absolutely. We've always wanted to be value for money, so part of that is actually where you can drive costs down, and it's not this bit of battery is a bit cheaper. No, it's actually, let's get that quality battery but get it at the right price. Yeah, buying power is key to that.
That's brilliant. That's for a lot of large installers in the US could do the same. Once you have a certain volume, you can make your prices basically available to other installers. Now, do you have your own warehouse, and are those other installers, they just drive up to you and just take the hardware in the morning, or do you ship things to their warehouse?
We've got warehouses at the moment, and we do have a couple of sort of smaller containerized storage facilities. We will ship, or guys can collect. You know, we're open to both. We even supply stuff to other distributors. So geographically, ones that are sort of convenient.
The people working there, are they part of, like you mentioned, your 100 employees? Is that all the different HS divisions together, or that's just HS Energy?
Well, we tend to keep the employees within HSEnergy so that they can work for the other entities as needed. So, I mean, the group really only sort of 12 months ago. So it's easier to keep a sort of one main hub employing people, and then utilise the other channels. And as they grow, then maybe some will sort of move into more managerial roles in other parts of the group.
All right. Now, a quick calculation. You do 450 installs a month, and you have around 12 crews. That's about 20 days in a month, so that around roughly 22 installs a day, roughly. With 12 crews, that means that each crew needs to do at least 2 projects a day.
Yeah, I mean, we do have a lot of guys who do like to do a bit of overtime on Saturday, but yeah, the aim is 2 projects a day, which means that the projects have to be managed very well. We have a very large CRM and an IT team, making sure, and then we have a scheduling team making sure everything's flowing, so scaffolding, and then guys, they're not, they're doing 2 jobs, but those 2 jobs are close together. So we don't want guys traveling more than sort of half an hour between jobs.
All right. A lot of traffic in larger cities is always a challenge. So what's the average size? How many kilowatts do you
I'd say
install on average?
typically on a domestic install, you're probably looking at sort of six kilowatts. We're trying to get, I'd say, sort of 10 kilowatts of battery, but that should be doubling with grid trading revenues coming through and AI. So that's your typical domestic. I'd say your commercials, which obviously can take a little bit more time, I think will range, drastically from 20 kilowatts. We've now got a sort of a pipeline developing, which is anything from sort of 100 to, I think, our largest one that she's in planning right now is like 1.1 megawatts on a ground mount, which is obviously a very different sort of setup and dynamic. That's a few weeks worth of work there.
Yeah, at least. Yeah. I'm surprised by the speed. Yeah.
Yeah, in that mix, you've got some fairly straightforward battery onlys. We're dropping sort of C&I batteries now, which, are 4 cables. So 4 cables in a comms thing. So you might have a team of 3 guys going in there and hooking it up in the morning. And then one guy will be popping around commissioning these batteries over time. So there's different teams. And as we're growing commercially and the batteries coming, we're needing sort of different skill sets as well. So, we're generally doing bases with ground screws for batteries. So you got after very different areas. And then you got your EV jobs as well. There's potential, guys can do 3 or 4 EV charges in a day. There's a mix.
Okay. Well, let's go back to the solar part. So you do around 6 kilowatts. Do you have panels of 250 watts, 400 watts? What do you currently have?
No, we're more sort of at 450 to 465 now. All blacks.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a main sort of panel. If you're doing commercial, on commercials, you can be up to sort of 685. Yeah.
Yeah. So you have roughly 13 panels or something like that to go installed. And you do that in two systems a day. So to get to an installation, do you also have to pull permits to design work, assuming for interconnection request?
Yeah, it does. We're in the UK, we have what are called district network operators, and they're sort of split into regions. So some are really easy to work with, and ones we've got sort of good relationships with. So we've got portals and quick. Others are a little more difficult, shall we say? So some of the operations see the benefits of what we're doing, and it's helping in locations. Others are a little more resistant, perhaps because it's reducing their transmission fees they can earn and their asset values as well. Now, when you're talking large scale batteries, so you have to. It's nicer to work in the good areas, but you have to work with them all. But in the fortunate position with scale, we're getting to actually talk to government now and sort of try and push different solutions because they have to happen. In the UK, we spent £1 billion switching off wind farms last year. They need our battery solutions particularly.
Yeah, true. I read that too. Let's go back to the mechanics of how you install 2 projects in a single day, because that blows my mind. For us, it's impossible. It never really crossed my mind you could do that. So you arrive on the morning of, you put scaffolding up first.
Yeah, so the scaffolding would have gone in the day before or within the week before. So the scaffolding is all scheduling. So that we know that's gone in. The scaffolding's put pictures of that in our CRM. The installer's seen that. The installer knows that the job's good to go. All the design work, all the parts, they've got a picking list. The kit's been there and ready. They'll have a big enough van to take 2 jobs. You'll have at least 2 roofers, maybe 3, and you'll have 2 in the electricians team. So those guys work together. Generally, we keep the same teams together so they know how they work with each other. Most of the equipment now has to go on the outside in the UK. They sort of stopped us putting batteries in lofts, so they tend to be fairly large units, and the equipment's got a lot easier to commission nowadays, with apps and so forth. There's not a lot in it. All the firmware updates are done from the office. So we've really made it kind of easier. So all the guys have got tablets. They know what photos they need to take. They know what information we need. So we just tried to streamline. And that's part of having an in-house IT team. And it took me a while to realise, because I was always kind of resistant to paying IT guys. But actually, CRM is key. I think that sausage machine. When you're making a sausage, you can't have anything that can potentially split that skin. It goes through very routine. Everyone knows their job. If somebody's ill, there's somebody who can come in and do their job. So every part is in there, and we've got inventory systems now and that, so that we know. I mean, I think the biggest mistakes made by firms as it grew in the UK was just not being in control of their inventory. So guys were getting frustrated because they'd turn up and they wouldn't get the right part or enough parts. And
So scaffolding, that's not something I see a lot in the US, but I've seen it at Belgian companies, French, and in the UK. So I think it's more common over there. So scaffolding goes in the day before. You arrive with a team of, like you said, around 4 people, and they clear the job. And then, do they have to go inside to do some of the electrical work, or is it all outside?
yeah, that's it. The consumer unit will normally be inside, so they've got to run a cable into that with a couple of Henley blocks. But again, we would have seen all that information and collected all that information, so they will know from looking at the photos what they're going to need. Do they need conduit? Are they going to be able to run through a loft? How long is that run? Do they need a 6mm cable, a 4mm cable? So, they're turning up there with everything they need. In the old days, it used to be they'd turn up, have a look around, pop down to the local electrical contractors and say, I'll have that, a cup of coffee, and come back a while later. But now, they've got all that together, so they're turning up, and very rarely would they get calls out.
Is it also pre-approved by the homeowner? So, like, we're going to run it over here, and then with the picture, like...
Absolutely. Yeah, as part of that surveyor's job is to make sure the homeowner, and again, because this is cost us, you learn most of your mistakes at your cost. We've done that before. We've scaffolded a building, we've turned up, can't quite run that cable there. Customers say, I don't want to see a cable there, I don't want to, and ended up actually not doing it. So everything has to be covered before. Where is that cable going to go? Is any of it visible? If it's a white rendered house, we're going to have some white conduit. We're not going to have black cables going down that. So yeah, the information is, if we haven't got that information from the surveyor, they're going back before we even book the scaffold. So
yeah, I remember in the beginning we thought doing a survey, everybody can do it. You take some pictures, super simple. But the beginning of the entire solar company project, if the survey is very accurate, everything can happen after that. A detailed design approved by the client with the correct bill of material. But if the survey is not really done right, then the rest will everybody's going to struggle on the team to get a project done. Do you see this?
That's it. And yeah, absolutely. And it's like, we don't have sales guys. We have guys who can survey. If you can't go out there and work out how that solar system should fit the house, how can you be good enough to go out and sell a solar system? You can go out and sell a dream and go on about some financials and all that, but actually, if you can't measure it right and say it's going to take 12 panels, and yes, we need to run a cable here, you should understand. I started out as an electrical engineer and went into sales, and then sort of solar was everything put together. But it's more about bothering. So for me, we don't really have sales guys. We have guys who know what they're talking about for the whole thing. So we only have to do one visit to get it right the first time, as opposed to having one guy go and sell it and then another guy go back, oh, well, perhaps we have to take one panel off less, and and suddenly you've wasted the whole process, because you lose maybe 15% of your sales.
Don't have pure salespeople, and all former installers, electricians. Yeah, it's traditional sales.
They could be salespeople, but they have to learn how to do the job right, as far as I'm concerned. That it is part of their job to show a customer where that cable's going to go, and that kind of elevates us a little bit. The ones who are actually going and they have to measure for us between the rafters and the gaps, so that we know that we can work out the wind loading and so forth. They can't just go, yeah, this is going to be fantastic, you're going to have 12 panels, you're going to make £150 a month or whatever. No, they have to go in there and actually show them complete the job. So that way we get zero cancellations between order. It's all part of the sausage machine. And I don't want to be thinking, we want to book this job, but there's a chance we might turn up and they got the hump and they're going to cancel. So again, then that feeds through to the team. So the teams know they're not going to get messed around when they turn up. So they're happier. And, you want happy teams. They get on and they get the 2 jobs done a day. They don't have to face problems.
About your sausage machine, we integrated Servo to your Zoho like it was 2 years ago, and then we did the entire Zoho a lot more structured than before. You still on Zoho?
We are, yeah. I think we've rebuilt it like 3 times. But yeah, we seem to have it sort of mastered now. And then we've brought the inventory in and built a whole inventory system. That's kind of necessary if you want the scale. And then that also links to our distributor side. It's a little bit, I'm not an IT guy, so it's a little bit over my head, but I know it functions and does what we need.
Yeah. No, it's a good investment. I mean, some people don't make the investment in IT, but like if you want to scale, if you want to grow, it's a good place to spend time. And a lot of installers also build their own CRM versions. I've seen that quite a bit, but we have a lot of solar installers on Zoho across the world. So Zoho is definitely seems to be a good CRM. I want to go back to you spoke about salespeople. So in the US, salespeople run on commissions. They get a commission of whatever they sell. Is that the same in the UK or not?
Yeah, generally guys will run on commission. I mean, we do have a couple that are sort of on the payroll, and we'll earn a bit of commission and maybe have some other functions in the business. But yeah, commissions are the same way.
Right. Well, let's speak more about sales and marketing, and what's related to that is policy. So you mentioned that you're going from maybe more residential going to more commercial because policy changes. So what's going on in the UK and what is the typical payback time? Why do people go solar in the first place?
Well, I mean, solar got huge in the UK. We had a bit of when electrical prices went through the roof after COVID, but then we did have a bit of a supply crisis. And literally overnight, the industry grew. Unfortunately, with that, we jumped in the 10 years I've been in it. We jumped from 300 installers to 4,000 installers, and you kind of have the perpetual 1,000 of those going bust a year and restarting. That consequently squeezes margins down because people are fighting for jobs, and then more suppliers came into the UK market, so you've got a lot of cheap products. I'd say. People tend to look at a battery as just something you're adding onto a solar system, so they're not looking at the quality side of that. And there's vastly different qualities of batteries in terms of life. I don't know if you have it in the US, but when there's too much wind or too much solar, we have what's called negative priced energy. So we can buy energy in it and get paid 50 pence a unit, put that in a battery and sell it later for maybe, if it's half time in a big football match, it might be £1. So the energy trading market is huge in the UK, whereas the Europeans are far more used to doing this. Their energy gap or energy arbitrage gap is about a third of the size of the UK. So we're now bringing a lot of funding from Europe. So by bringing the funding, it means we can take that to commercial and educational and even social landlords and say, right, we can install all this for free, can bring the money to pay for all the equipment, lower their bills, they hit their targets, and when the funders pay back, they also then get revenue streams themselves. You need to do it at scale. So that also pushes us away from doing sort of domestic customers. So, I think, on the domestic front, we want to install 5,000 social houses at once, 100 schools, and that gives us a huge wealth of battery power, which we can then put into what's called capacity auctions and so forth. So just to explain a little bit more, battery revenues in the UK jumped last year from like 24,000 a megawatt to 92,000 a megawatt. So that's sort of the money that is available in grid trading and capacity.
I think...
Let's speak a bit about pricing. When you install residential, like a 6 kilowatt system on like regular house, I guess it's on clay roofs, tile roofs. Yeah,
I'd say the most of concrete. We do have clay and slate, especially when you get into different parts of the country. Cost-wise, if I was putting a 6 kilowatt in with, say, 20 kilowatt hours of battery, we're probably looking at around sort of £12,000. I gather in the US it's far, far more. That's the thing. When I visit the US, the prices, I don't quite understand why they're so much higher.
Yeah, I'm converting right now. 11,000 pounds is around 14,000 US dollars. So for 14,000 for 14,000 US dollars. For 6 kilowatts, that's $2.3 a watt. So it's not too different actually.
You keep it. You got the battery in there as well, so that's got that'll have a
Okay.
20 kilowatt hour battery. Yeah. So I was hearing people were paying sort of $50,000 for a solar system in the US. I don't know what.
Yeah, but things are changing. I see with Tesla where you put the string inverters and then the battery kind of comes for free with it. That's a major game changer. But yeah, before that those were the prices. Everything was kind of not really standalone, but you had like Enphase or storage or AP system inverters, and then you did like a battery kind of on the side, so to speak. And now all of that becomes integrated. So there is a lot of price pressure on batteries.
Yeah. So Tesla's sort of almost putting the battery in for free. So he's grid trading, and that's why he was dropping his mega packs all over the place, because he saw the negative energy. So yeah. He hasn't been able to get his license over here. So we're trying to suck up most of that energy before he gets it.
Yeah, exactly.
It was, I know he's probably like Marmite over there, but I mean, on the energy trading and that, he saw the opportunity a long time before anybody else. And that's where you've got to be. You've got to be aggregating that negative energy. It's huge. I think over there he's got an energy license, isn't he? Certainly in Texas.
In Texas, yeah. And so what do you call negative prices? I don't see a lot of negative prices in the US, but by moments the price to push power on the grid is really high. There is a need for more power. We don't have the situation of too much power here, where I think it's a lot more penetration of renewable energy in Europe, where by moments there is so much solar production that you need an off-taker. There's not enough off-takers. That's why suddenly it's negative prices. I haven't not seen that a lot in the US. But by moments there is too much demand, and then you need extra power. So in the US you have like those peaker plants that turn on, and so when you install a battery and you want to push power to the grid to make some money, you are competing with the peaker plants basically. If you can be cheaper than the gas peaker plant they need to turn on, then your battery is a power. So they're aggregated in virtual power plants. So that's what's going on in the US. Although it's kind of, I cannot say it's infancy, because virtual power plants like an energy hub and so on, they've been around for a long time. But for the common people, it's still a kind of a new thing.
Yeah, so we had a regulation change last November, which basically allowed us to access the wholesale market without going through your energy supplier. So then we've got a VPP in Romania that I'm involved with, and we're bringing that to the UK. And it's really, there's a lot of people that sort of try to do it, but they tend to over-engineer the solutions. So you end up with a very expensive box with an extra meter in it and so forth. And actually, if you look at the markets and which of the flex or grid flex markets actually produce money, you're getting 80% of your revenue from a very small part. So we've actually got it down to a board that's the size of your hand. And then coincidentally, they brought in another regulation just a couple of months ago where they said we could use virtual metering. So all the revenues are kind of sort of accessible to us. But we'll be in the UK. I mean, I've actually got it on my house as a bit of a demo, but our first sort of batch of boxes, called yellow grid boxes, arrive should be the next couple of weeks. So we'll be putting those out on both large and sort of domestic batteries, and seeing the results over the winter.
Wow! So you have access directly to the market. You can discharge, and well, how does the money flow? I understand you discharge the battery. Okay, fine, but where is the money coming from? Who's paying you?
Okay, so we effectively get paid by currently through another supplier's tariff. We're bringing our own tariff to market. But the whole idea is basically just like you would on your energy bill. Say you're getting paid 20 pence per unit, but at that half hour when it's say minus 50 pence, then that comes through as a credit. So it's just a basic energy supplier. Also, then we get paid directly by the grid for having spare capacity on the market when the grid needs it. And this is all done by AI. The AI is talking to the grid. The AI knows what power you need. It knows the weather tomorrow. It knows when key events are. So, I mean, it's better at doing the job than 5 guys sitting in front of a computer.
Yeah, yeah, there's too much variables at that point. Yeah, absolutely. And so HS Energy, when the salesperson's in the house selling PV and battery, do you add like the future revenue of the battery in the sales, or is that too volatile
So
unknown and kept aside?
what we've actually done over the summer is just create a little bit of a waiting list. We said like basically 100 customers could have a free box when they're available in October as a trial. We kind of underestimated it at £500 a year extra savings. We kind of knew by then what it would do because we've had some systems testing in the UK. So the idea was to sort of under-promise and over-deliver. So what they will see when their boxes go in is they're going to actually see a revenue. So we're creating an app, and that'll actually tell them, congratulations, you made £5 in the last hour because prices went negative or because your battery discharged to the grid, and so forth. But realistically, what we'd expect is well, actually, to give you an idea of a trial we've done up in Yorkshire, a lady has a £900 bill. She's now got zero bill and £1,000 worth of revenue a year. So,
Nice.
yeah. So that's where we sort of expect to get to with the trading. Now, then you scale that up and put a 6 megawatt battery on, on I think a 1.7 megawatt supply, because that incoming pipe is key because how much energy you can take and discharge. Suddenly this 6 megawatt battery is paying for itself in like 2.5 years, which is insane. And that's got a 20-year life. So you can really change commercials. You can really change their energy. And I don't know if in the US you have the same thing. In the UK, we've got sort of caps on domestic prices, but the commercial pricing is a little bit Wild West. So people are getting charged horrendous prices, commercial electric. So it's probably every business in the UK right now, their biggest concern is their energy.
Interesting. Oh, that's a major opportunity for you then. I've seen the US, there is a price increase in general, but on a commercial level, you have all those different price rates. But I do see that the problem I've faced is that it's like, in Virginia, we had like retail price of 8 cents, 7 cents. So that was pretty low. It's hard to beat and get solar that low. So you need to do like large projects to make it pencil out. But then there is a price increase in general terms. So
I think
that's good for the solar industry because people want to save money and it's a solution there.
Yeah, I mean, our electricity over here is 30 to 40 pence per unit and going up all the time. So if you can do power purchase agreements at between, say, 12.5 and 18.5 pence, people are more than happy.
Oh, yeah. In commercial, there's sometimes demand charges. So you chop the entire month in like 15 minutes increment. And when you have the highest demand, that is like an additional charge. The demand charges are also difficult to eliminate because you need a lot of hack to make sure that in that 15 period of time where you have high demand, can your battery or PV really kind of lower it down? So the sales process is hard because you know what you need to hit, but that doesn't mean imagine that you're going to consume a lot, but at the same time, your battery is actually is not full. So you cannot lower that demand charge. So that's always a tricky part in CNI thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a similar thing, so because the transmission charges, and they will charge you more at peak time. So that's where, again, your AI is coming in and making sure you've got enough power in that battery to get through that peak time and not pay that additional cost. Yeah, commercially, they can get transmission charges. And those can range from 0.6 pence per kilowatt to 16 pence per kilowatt, so there's a huge saving to be made if you can miss those peak times.
Yeah. Well, Neil, the idea was to share what's going on in the UK. So our friends all over the world, we have audience, we have solar CEOs and managers all over the world, mainly US still, but we are in so many different countries now. So hopefully that sparks some ideas. You spoke about having your own warehouse and resell to other solar installers if you do high volume and pricing. And I think that's a great idea. Hopefully others start doing it more. So Neil, it's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
Thanks, Irv. Thank you.
If you'd like to do the same or do better, go to sunvoy.com/blog and get actionable behind-the-scenes lessons on running and growing your solar business.